Howdy, everybody, and welcome to the iRacing Formula 3.5 Championship here at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna, Seca. I'm Austin Knight. I am joined with Peter McKay and Frederick Nixel here live for round 4 of the 2020 Season 3. Frederick, Peter, welcome to the booth, and welcome back, Frederick. All right, so we're currently at qualifying. I believe Peter and Frederick have disappeared for a bit.
I'm here. I have
there you
copy.
are, Peter.
Yep, I'm here. Yeah, sorry, I thought you were introducing Frederick. My apologies, Austin. How are you this sunny California day?
It is a great 4th of July day here at Laguna Seca, and I can tell you it's going to be a great race for us, as everyone's in qualifying right now. It's got a 17-car field, and it's going to be an absolute blast.
It is indeed. These Formula Renault 3.5 cars, I have to say, I had a couple of laps earlier in the week to prepare for today's broadcast, and I have to say they're pretty good at driving backwards as well as they are at driving forwards, because they are tricky cars, very very powerful, of course. 530 horsepower, and of course only 710 kilograms of weight. So they are they're a bit old school, aren't they? They're no hybrid system, of course, like a Formula One car. But in days gone by, this was the last step on the ladder before going into Formula One, Austin.
It certainly was a very big stepping stone before going into the Formula One series. Formula Renault 3.5 has been home to a lot of some of the biggest names currently in the racing world today, but here on iRacing, it is home to what some would say the best racers on the entire platform here today.
I could certainly support that notion, because very very tricky car to get right. Even has a DRS system as well, so you can open the flap during qualifying to get a little extra boost of speed down the straight, and it's just lovely to hear a naturally aspirated V8. I have to say, I'm very old-fashioned that way. I love naturally aspirated engines, and if they've got 8 cylinders, well, even better. Now, of course, this car, this is the great thing about iRacing, is that this car is long been out of service in the real world, but of course now frozen in time through the virtual world here on iRacing for competition. And of course, the final World Series by Renault back in 2017 was won by Pietro Fittipaldi, the grandson of the great double world champion Emerson Fittipaldi. So it has quite a bit of heritage, this car.
It certainly does. It certainly does. And you mentioned that you were going to drop that today, and you did.
I did, yes. I have to say, I always have to make a reference to one of my fellow sideburn enthusiasts, you see, Austin. Either Jackie Stewart or Emerson Fittipaldi. David Hobbs, he used to, who came to a lot of success in racing in America. In days gone by, he had a pretty good set of sideburns as well. So always a big fan of the sideburns.
It certainly does. Usual face that isn't here today. Championship leader. It's not here today. Tim Delisle not in the booth today. I am not sure why, but it's going to give the field a good run for the podium. I can definitely tell you that.
Yeah, very close at the top between the Dutchman of Vilbrink and the Iberian driver Bernstorff. Just 7/100ths of a second separating the top two right now as we come towards the closing stages of qualifying here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. And of course, speaking of WeatherTech, the WeatherTech IMSA Sports Car Championship getting rolling at Daytona today. So great to see that series return at the end of the day today. So on the right hand side of the screen, we have our weather conditions for the day. Track temperature 19 degrees centigrade, which actually for California, that's relatively calm. That's relatively easy. So we were talking before the broadcast about tyres, Austin, and you were telling me that these cars seem to be chewing up tyres so far this season.
They've certainly been extremely heavy on the tires, but thankfully, with this track state, it should be pretty easier on the tires than what it usually has been, as qualifying is over here at Laguna Seca. And let's walk us through the grid. And Peter, I'm going to let you do the honors.
Oh, thank you very much. You're so polite. So on pole position is Paul Ilbrink, the Dutchman, number 1 for the Radicals Online team. In second is Emil Bernstoff. Third, Edward Samborski. And fourth, Steve Honan. In fifth is Ronaldo Augusto, alongside his fellow Brazilian, Fabio Del Carmo. Seventh is Rob Boer, alongside James Pinksker. Ninth is just one name, Gennady, alongside Josh Stewart. And 11th, Simone Pizzica, alongside Cedric Bile. In 13th position is Shane Russell in the Downforce Racing Machine. 14th, Savarmi Sabols. My apologies, I've made a mess of your name there, sorry. 15th, Patrick Latuvit. 16th, Antonio Navarro. And 17th, rounding out the grid, Jamie Byrne in the number 17 machine.
All right. Well, with just a minute left on the grid, I can tell you the tensions are absolutely high as they can be here. And a lot of cars already on the grid. This is a very early gridding up because we usually don't see all the cars on here. We're still waiting on Paul Ilbert and James A. Piecer to make some adjustments to their set. Hopefully they actually get those adjustments in there. And don't forget that they didn't come out of the qualifying set like we saw right now. But everyone is on the grid. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the 5 red lights are coming on. And it's time to go racing here for the iRacing Formula 3.5 Championship.
So green, we are off here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca as we pile down towards Turn 1 here to the Andretti hairpin on lap 1.
Sorry about this lacking calls. I believe we had a little bit of a problem with our cameras right now.
Do you have a copy, Austin? My sound has dropped off. Do you hear me?
Yes, I got you right there. My sound dropped off as well.
This is now Radio Apex Racing now, for now.
Well, after lap 1, James A. Piecer, he didn't even actually go to the grid. I think he had a little bit of internet issues. And same with Joshua Stewart. Paul Ilbrink takes the lead ahead of Burstoff with Sam Borski in 3rd place. He's followed by Honan, Augusto, Tucumaro, Bill Kalashnikov, Russell, Navarro, Zevskovs, Byrne, Pizzica, Boer, Piecer, and with Letovet going into the pit lane after a incident.
Well, thanks to our technical genius Frederick in the background, we are back up and running. So apologies for that, folks, for the radio silence for a moment as the Dutchman Paul Ilbrink leads away here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. And I have to say, Austin, this is going to be one of the most challenging circuits anywhere in the world as we head up towards the notorious corkscrew. Really, I think the braking, particularly going into the corkscrew, so tricky. Careful not to rush down the gearbox too much and lock up. You're a former racing driver. Tell us about what the trick is into that corner.
I've always broke it. I've always lifted off the engine as I was heading with about 100 meters to go above the lip. I was never confident around this track. The corkscrews scared the absolute crap out of me because whenever I had a racer, I had to pay for all the damages I've done to my car. So I just tried to avoid anything, which sometimes worked, sometimes didn't. At this track, it didn't work out that well, but I can tell you, just going into that corner, it's braking, closing your eyes, and then you chuck it in there, and you just pray that you don't mess it up.
Yeah, I can't imagine what it's like on a motorcycle. It's for four-wheel racing, scary enough. But for of course, I used to host the MotoGP Championship, and of course, for those MotoGP fans, we remember when Valentino Rossi went up the inside of Casey Stoner coming out of the corkscrew, one of the most famous overtaking manoeuvres in MotoGP history back in 2008.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, big three-car pile-up here. Oh, dearie me, that's not good at all. But it looks like the three cars have got away. Yeah, it looks like they've got away with it relatively damage-free as we get a little look at that. So thank you, Frederick, for the replay. So here we go, hard on the brakes, coming into just a tiny bit of contact, and that's all it takes. It's such a difficult braking zone downhill. The brakes are cold, the tyres are cold. Very easy to do there, Austin.
Patrick Letovet, James J. Pincer, and Josh Stewart were involved in that opening lap debacle. As without Tim Delisle, Paul Ilbrink is leading the field all on his own right now. Look at that switchback by Pizzica.
That was beautiful. That was Daniel Ricciardo S. Just a big dive down the inside. And of course, Daniel Ricciardo raced in these cars. In fact, he actually came 5th in the championship back in 2011 when the Canadian Robert Wickens was the Formula 3.5 Renault champion.
Yeah, both of them went into different series. And Daniel did his qualifying in F1 today. I'm not going to say the qualifying results because, well, you guess them on your own, and B, if you haven't looked at it, I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, we don't like spoilers at all in racing. But one thing we can tell you is that he's still using a Renault engine, of course, as he was back when he raced in Formula Renault 3.5
this season
as well. This season, anyway. Yes, of course, he's on the move. He's on the move to McLaren. So as we head round the final turn here, round turn 11, and over the stripe we go. Rob Boer, the Dutchman, and I have to say that Pennzoil car looks absolutely fantastic. Bright yellow. That's a good throwback, that one.
Yeah, Navarro, he loves using that Pennzoil car, but Pizzica, after that great dive down there, he's still sitting in 10th, and he's leading that train. They got Boer and Byrne right behind him, and Rob Boer in that absolutely beautiful Rob Boer car. I call it the World Championship car because that is just a beautiful car to look at.
It is. It reminds me of the old M3 GT2 art car from Le Mans a few years back. Really special looking car.
I believe it is a exact rip of it.
Ah, well, there we go. So no wonder it reminds me of it then. So, as we head over 5 laps down already.
Oh, Boer looks down to the inside.
Oh, that's a big move down there, down the Rainey curve, of course, named after Wayne Rainey, an absolute legend of motorcycle racing. Of course, a lot of the corners here are made famous in motorcycle racing, but of course you've got the Rahal Straight and the Andretti hairpin as well, so absolutely rich in history. Now, the first race that they had here at Laguna Seca was back in 1957, which was won by a Ferrari by a gentleman called Pete Lovely. What a name to have.
It absolutely is a very lovely name, and our leader, Paul Ilbrey, actually has some traffic ahead of him, and that traffic is giving him a little bit of dirty air. That is Patrick Letovet, who was involved in that opening lap incident, and he's trying not to get lapped by one of the best drivers, the top-rated driver here in this session with 6,687 iRating, and as usual, the Formula 3.5 strength of field is absolutely monstrous as Patrick lets our leader by. And just look at that. Look at all those giant above 3K numbers. Actually, what is the strength of field, Frederick?
A lot anyway, that's for sure, as Ilbrink puts in another fastest lap of the race in the number 1 car. So number 1 on the car, number 1 on the timing sheets. As you see on our SDK overlay on the left-hand side, look at all those iRatings. I have to say, I could not dream of any of those, Austin, but 6.7 thousand iRating for the Dutchman, Paul Ilbrink. But yeah, sets his fastest lap of the race there, 1 minute 10.4. So 30 laps might sound a lot, but not when you're Paul Ilbrink in a car this fast.
It certainly is, but remember, he's got to look after his tires. If Suzuka last round was absolutely just monstrous halfway through the race, the tires just fell off hard.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's got to be careful. We're not even at a third distance yet, and he's deploying plenty of that pace as we see Patrick Latouve with the Ayrton Senna replica helmet on there, heading into the corkscrew. Oh, just gets a little bit late on the brakes. Oh, and does very well to keep it out the gravel and to keep it out of an incident with his fellow drivers. Good discipline there. As, oh my goodness me, Elbrink puts in another fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 10.359. And, well, he is clearing away with this. But I think your point about the tyres is prudent, I think, Austin, because we'll just have to see how that develops over the course of the race. But right now, he really looks in the groove.
Yeah, Paul is always in another class of his own. Him and Tim just put in a lot of work. I'm not sure where Tim is. He didn't really give me any insight on what his plans were for this race, but if they were any close to what my families are, I totally understand him, but I don't know why an Aussie would be celebrating an American holiday, but hey, you do what you do.
Yep, absolutely. Any excuse for a celebration. And of course, Austin, here in the United Kingdom, the pubs have opened for the first time in a number of months today. So you can imagine what the scenes are like here right now on these shores. Probably make Talladega 500 look like a tea party.
Well, I don't drink, so...
Maybe wise. Oh, as Elbrink right on the 1 minute 10, he nearly breaks into the 1 minute 9s. That's incredible. 1 minute 10 flat from Elbrink, and he's opening up over half a second a lap. So, whoa, goodness me, he's certainly pushing here. So, that's we'll just have to watch how that
Pizzico's been making a lot of moves, and he's looking down the inside once more at the Andretti hairpin. Pizzico sends it up into ninth and absolutely commanding through that corner. Simone Pizzico, I'm expecting this guy to be charging up through the field and be a top contender near the end of this race. Currently of the hard chargers, that's Cedric Bill up 5 spots already, currently sitting in 7th.
Yeah, good drive from the Frenchman in 7th position in that blue machine, the number 10 car, Cedric Biel, the Frenchman. And speaking of Frenchmen, of course, Pierre Gasly, the Alpha. I keep wanting to say Toro Rosso, but of course it's not. It's Alpha Tauri now, isn't it? The junior Red Bull team, and of course he came runner-up in this very series in the real world back in 2014, and he was runner-up to new Ferrari driver Carlos Sainz Jr.
As we take a look at the top speeds, and everyone averaging about 259 kilometers an hour. Some was in the 261s. Yes, they were. That was Russell who was hitting that insane speed. Rob Bohr also in the 260 range. But mostly...
Simone Pizzica, 267, Austin. So maybe got that car. Maybe, of course, at
that's
Laguna,
DRS.
you really want
that
very...
has to be DRS.
Yeah, it must be, or maybe draft, but it's the thing is with here at Laguna, really straight line speed isn't so important, and you want as much downforce as you can get into that car because it's such an aero dependent circuit here. It's such a tricky circuit as well, low grip circuit, quite a dusty surface, so it's really demanding for the driver in any car, but particularly in these very high powered single seater cars.
I can't agree with you more. You want as much grip as you can. So we're 1/3 of the way through this race. 20 laps to go here at Laguna Seca. Ilbrink leads Bernstoff in second. Sam Borski, the American, on Independence Day, sitting in 3rd.
Yep, representing the Stars and Stripes very well indeed is Edward Samborski in the associations with Dirt and DFR machine, and that lovely. I tell you what, that looks more like British Racing Green, that car on screen. So thank you for that, Ed, representing both countries as well, Edward. So very good indeed. Now, watching it, we're getting a great camera shot of our drivers coming into the corkscrew. And we'll maybe get a look of Edward coming in here as we're heading up the hill towards the corkscrew eventually. And you see the drivers, we've almost got to have a controlled lock-up through there because you see the drivers hit the brakes, and just as it unloads, you just see the front left tyre just locking up slightly. And of course, it doesn't do it there, just as we're on camera as well. But you've seen a number of drivers having a nice controlled lock-up into there. I knew that was going to happen.
It's called commentator's curse. You just get absolutely used to it, and I can tell you, I do have a control lockup going into there. And by controlled, I mean completely uncontrolled or completely on quote on purpose. But I had to emphasis complete accident whenever I do it.
Yeah, I'm in a controlled lockup as I'm backwards into the wall there, going into Laguna Seca corkscrew, and I have to say I say this so many times commentating on iRacing. Our drivers are at such a high level that they make it look easy, but I can tell you, for anyone, I'm sure anyone watching who's familiar with the service or uses it on a regular basis, just go and give this car and track a go, and you will see that what you're seeing, the demonstration of skill on show, is absolutely extraordinary. And Austin, I think that's what makes sim racing so special, because none of us could go and jump in one of these cars in the real life unless we were multimillionaires. But on iRacing, you can just hop in and you can actually then see and compare your lap times like for like with the best drivers in the world, and you really see just how talented they actually are.
That is the absolute glory of sim racing. It also gives people who been racing in real life and have incidents that allow them not to be racing, to get back and relive their glory years, or the way that they burned their parents' money.
Or if you're just a wannabe racing driver who would love to be one but have absolutely nowhere near the talent, you commentate like me. So that's what I always say, those who cannot commentate about it. So it's brilliant. That's the thing, Austin, when you're up in the commentary box, I've never not been on the lap record when commentating.
That is true. That is true. So we're looking at this battle.
It's easy to criticise. That's why I always try to give a good, a good respect to the drivers, because they are, as I say, they are making this look so easy, but it is not.
Yeah, so we got this battle for 7th place between Cedricville and Kalashnikov right now. They've been following each other, but let's ride on board with Kalashnikov as he's following the freshman heading into the corkscrew.
Late on the brakes there, but absolutely inch perfect there through the corkscrew. Really late on the brakes and then transitions really well. So fantastic stuff from Gennady Kalashnikov as he heads up to the final corner. Again, another tricky corner, hard on the brakes, trying not to hit that sausage curb on the inside. And of course, that's where we saw Casey Stoner eventually fall off in the 2008 United States MotoGP race, where Valentino Rossi went on to win. As we head down,
Kalashnikov.
I think was that another he's thinking about it, Austin.
He really wants that 7th spot. Kalashnikov's been closing in on Cedricville lap after lap, and he's getting pretty tired of that black and blue car in front of him right now. I believe DRS is also being used down that front straight. You can tell if a car is using DRS. If that little slit you can see, if you cannot see through it, DRS is activated. If you can see through it, it is not. But it works just like it does in real life. It's just the animation is not in iRacing.
Yeah, it just basically it cheats the aerodynamics. So in the real world, if it were opening up, that would allow the air to flow through and therefore a little bit less drag and more speed. As our leader, Ilbrink the Dutchman, that 1 minute 9.958, so breaks the 1 minute 10 barrier, which no other driver has even got close to. As we see into the DRS zone we go then on the front straight, which is never really a straight. I don't think there's a straight piece of tarmac on Laguna Seca, is there, Austin?
There's a few small bits of straight. This part that Paul Ilbrink is in, that's a straight. No, it has a curve. Pretty much the front section of the track, there's not really a straight piece of track, honestly, on Laguna Seca, other than the pit lane. No, the pit lane also has.
Yeah, even that's probably a little bit got a bit of curve. Yeah, little bit of curve, and that the thing is, and also the elevation. I mean, the drop at the corkscrew, 450 meters of drop, and in other words, 10 stories of a building drop. So it's just like falling off the end of a cliff there. As we see, good drive here from Emil Bernstoff in the Fury Sim Sport car. with Samborski not too far behind. So the American looking to move his way up into second position, and he's close enough to get that little bit, to get into the DRS zone and get that flap open.
Well, actually, you don't even need to be within the second of the car in front of you to activate DRS. You can activate it as many times you want per lap, but you do have a limit of 8 times in total of the race to use DRS. As Simon Pizka got into the gravel just a little bit as he's heading into the final corner. Does he hit that bump? No, he does it just very wide. Using all the track as he's charging closer and closer to Gennady Kalashnikov ahead of him. And here's Bernstoff and Samborski side by side. Samborski going up down to the inside into the corkscrew. Bernstoff looking around the outside, but a little bit too late on the brakes. But Samborski leaving his room. Samborski around the outside. Samborski jumps into second place. But here comes Bernstoff looking down to the inside now of Samborski into the final few corners. But Samborski is making that car as wide as it can, and the American is up in a second.
Absolutely. Happy 4th of July, fellow Americans watching today. Great move there. Really opportunist move from Samborski, making his way past Bernstoff. It didn't take Bernstoff to make much of a mistake, a very small mistake indeed. And you can see the difference in lap times, a second difference in lap times. But just the tiniest of mistake. And Samborski, he didn't need to ask twice, did he, Austin?
Absolutely not. Bernstoff looked like he was struggling with his tire grip just a little bit coming out of that fast left-hander, which they're approaching right now. Let's ride on board Samborski, but that move that Samborski did, here's a replay of that overtake on board Samborski. Let's see, he just absolutely smacked that curb, killed all of his speed going into that corner. And that just allowed Samborski to charge up in there and put on a wonderful overtake for second place.
Yeah, I have to say, I love sausages, but I hate sausage curb. These horrible red sausage curbs. And of course, coming through there at turn 6, coming onto the Rahal straight, it's a blind entry and so easy to just clip a wheel onto the sausage curb. And we saw there that costing Bernstoff second place. I think it all started off as well, the corner before at turn 5, got a little bit wide out of there and then had a problem there. And look at that, Samborski, he gets into clean air and sets his fastest lap of the race so far, 1 minute 10.3. Now, that is only 0.3 of a second off the fastest pace of Ilbrink, and just as I say that, he answers straight back with another 1 minute 9.958. My goodness me.
Paul Ilbrink is a machine. We actually got a car stopped on the back stretch coming up the hill into the corkscrew. That is Navarro was spun around. What's happened to our fan favorite Penzo car?
Oh no, this is, we don't want the Pendoyle car out the show, so let's see. He gets a little bit twitchy on the entry there, and whoa, just loses it on the way in. It really, there's a real kind of bottom out there, isn't there? There's almost like a little kind of bomb hole that you go through, and that's just unsettled the car. He gets it onto the grass, onto the sand, onto the dirt, and what a pity for Antonio Navarro in the 15 Pennzoil car. But Samborski, he is pushing really, really hard now in second position and putting his claim on that second spot on the podium.
He's actually making some gains on Ilbrink. He's just a bit faster through Sector 1 than what Paul Ilbrink is doing time and time again, but Paul Ilbrink is still putting in faster laps because Sector 2, no one can touch the times that Paul Ilbrink is putting in through there.
No, not at all. As you can see on our SDK track map on the right-hand side of your screen underneath the Virtual Racing School logo, you see that the number 1 in first place of Ilbrink, he's up at the corkscrew already, whereas second of Samborski just coming out of turn 6 onto the Rahal straight. So plenty of distance between them. So it's either going to take a pretty big mistake from the tyre completely falling to bits for Samborski to catch him. And I tell you what, Bernstoff's not done either. Bernstoff was actually just a tenth quicker than Samborski on that last lap. So as you can see, there's a good comparison. Thank you, Frederick, our wonderful producer there. At the bottom of your screen, you see how Ilbrink's still going that little bit faster, but it's only a minimal difference.
Yeah, it is bare minimum. And now Samborski is going faster than Paul Ilbrink, and that gap is now starting to fall. Has Samborski been treating his tires wellly enough to have the grip compared to Paul Ilbrink with 10 laps to go at Laguna Seca. Ilbrink, Samborski burst off your top three as Cedric Bill and Kalashnikov are having a massive fight for 7th.
Ooh,
and I think Pizzica I believe Pizzica is about to join this fight for a 3-way fight for 7th place.
Yeah, that's the thing. Once there starts to be the fight, that allows the cars behind to catch up, because there's one thing that slows your lap times down is having a battle with your fellow drivers. But we're heading into the business end of this race, Austin. 2/3 race distance gone. Of course, it's such a fast and furious sprint race format here, so you've got absolutely no time at all to to relax as we head up the Andretti straight. And you're right, Simone Pizzica coming into the corkscrew. He's right there for this battle now as well. Now, I also want to give a shout out to Bernstoff in 3rd position. He was faster than Samborski again, only just, but faster again. So he's not done for that battle for 2nd as well.
Yeah, it's probably just waiting behind Samborski and just letting his tires cool down and waiting for that move. But as he's stalking his prey, as some might say, this absolutely mad battle for 7th place between Pizzica, Kalashnikov, and Bill. I really just want to keep watching this.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And just an update on Samborski. Just as I said that, he sets his fastest lap of the race. A 1 minute 10.2. A 2 minute 10, that sounds more like my lap times. 1 minute 10.2 there from Samborski. So answers it back very, very well. But yeah, I'm with you. This battle for 6th, 7th, and 8th is going to be a cracker, I think, as we head towards the finish of this race.
Yeah, I was going to question it. 2 minute time seems like something I would do in my Camry.
Well, obviously not a Cup car Camry.
No, a 1999 Camry.
Oh, V6?
Yeah.
Lovely. Now, an interesting notice that Kalashnikov is from Eastern Europe. Now, one absolute legend of Formula One, Robert Kubica, he is also a Renault 3.5 champion all the way back in 2005, and of course, the following year he went off to Formula One, where he drove for BMW, and then in 2007. Not a million miles off winning the championship. Of course, that was the year where he had the huge accident at Montreal.
Yep, I remember watching that race live, and when I saw him walk away, I was like, that guy is cool. Unfortunately, last year, Williams not the best.
No, it's a shame to see Williams struggling so much. They're an amazing organisation with such fantastic heritage, but it just, I think in modern day Formula One, we only really see the big manufacturer teams and the well-funded teams like Red Bull that are able to compete with, right now. But you never know. It's cyclical in Formula One. So of course Ferrari, they've been without Ferrari, one of the most prestigious, the most prestigious team in the sport. They haven't had a driver's title since 2007 with Kimi Räikkönen 13 years ago, which is just incredible to say, isn't it? But who knows? With
we got a spinner! Kalashnikov around at the last corner. Just a little bit too much mustard as that battle was separating out. Going into the final corner, he's just clipped the apex and around goes the back end. And oh my goodness, Pizzica gets another spot.
Oh, that is just so frustrating. You're just on such a knife edge. These cars have so much performance, so much power, so much aerodynamics, and so light as well. Just over 700 kilograms, which, to give you an idea, that's half the weight of a NASCAR Cup car or an Australian V8 supercar. So they are incredible machines, but because of that, you are just on a knife edge, and the tiniest mistake, these cars will rip your head off. The amount of G-forces that these cars can produce is not as big as Formula One, but it is as close as you can get without getting into an actual F1 car, and that's why it was a big stepping stone for a while for future F1 stars. It was, yeah. We've seen, former champions, of course, Pietro Fittipaldi, Carlos Sainz Jr., Kevin Magnussen, Formula Renault 3.5 champion back in 2013. current driver for the Haas team, who has, well, the probably the angriest boss in the world, Gunther Steiner.
If you watch that Netflix series, you know what we're talking about. As we're looking at Bohr versus Kalashnikov for 9th place, Rob Bohr all over the back of the red and white. It's just a plain car for him.
It is. There's two completely contrasting styles there. You've got the very, as you say, the very plain red and white car of Kalashnikov, and then the very, very bright art car of Rob Bohr. I have to say, when I watched that documentary with the Drive to Survive on Netflix, the Formula One documentary, if you haven't seen it, it's very good. You should tune in and watch it. And you also notice that every Formula One crew chief has exactly the same BBC accent, just like, good job, mate, good job, good job.
You mean Formula One pit crew manager, driver manager?
Yeah, Formula crew chief, driver. Yeah, the guy that on the radio. They all. I think it's just the same guy who does all the drivers, and he's like, "Yeah, good job, Grosjean is on a hard tire." Yep.
I can tell you, mine wasn't. He didn't sound like that.
He wasn't. Well, I have to say, coming back to Gunther Steiner, I have to say, I mean, I'm Scottish. I thought I swore a lot, but my goodness me, he takes it to a new level altogether.
I'm not going to make any comment on that, but there is a wonderful Twitter parody account for him.
I've seen it. Yes, it's fantastic. Now, also looking at Rob Bohr, that looks very much like a Mika Hakkinen tribute helmet that he's running as well. And I have to say, back in the day, Mika Hakkinen, he was one of my favourite drivers. And so actually understated and quiet, but devastatingly fast. So 26 laps down then, we're heading into the business end of this race with Samborski and Bernstoff trading the lap times, 1 minute 10.2 for both men, so nothing to separate these two drivers.
Bernstoff setting actually the session's fastest Sector 3 time with a 16.33, Samborski 16.46. So Sector 3, Bernstoff is absolutely flying in that sector compared to Samborski, but their lap times are absolutely identical, just separated by 0.02 of a second.
Yeah, extraordinary stuff from both of these drivers. And it's just when you get to this level, the differences are so minute. And if you just make one mistake, that's the difference. And of course, that was all the difference between these guys. Bernstoff just making a tiny mistake coming out of turn 6 onto the Rahal straight a couple of laps ago. And that was all Samborski needed to make his way by. And Samborski has not made a mistake since. So the gap sitting at 8.6 seconds. So Ilbrink has been able to manage the gap as and as I say that, Ilbrink has managed the gap and then put in a 1 minute 9.788. That is extraordinary. I would always say don't try that at home, but Samborski and Bernstoff now down to 1 minute 10, so they're not slow either at all. Now I would normally say don't try this at home, but of course you can in iRacing, but once you do try it at home, you will see just how quick that lap time is. But if you want to try and get close to that lap time, have a go with the guys at the VRS Virtual Racing School. Give them a shout, and they'll surely help you to reduce your lap times.
That is a fantastic plug, and I'm proud of that.
Well, you got to keep the sponsor happy, Austin. That's what motor racing is all about.
I'm just in awe of that plug segue. Wow.
There you go. So we're back with 23 laps to go in this race. We'll soon be getting Ilbrink, the Dutchman, number 1 in first position, coming over the line. And I tell you what, Ilbrink, he's almost putting on an old school Sebastian Vettel drive away at the front. Absolute demolition job here from the Radicals Online driver as we head into lap 28. Been so consistent all day, hasn't put a foot wrong.
Some would say it's a Michael Schumacher-esque drive with the red paint as well, and I would be more preferred for that one than the Sebastian Vettel, but both of them just absolutely dominating form right now. But dominating is Rob Bohr all over the rear wing of Kalashnikov. Kalashnikov defending on the inside. Rob Bohr looking around the outside. He's trying to swing it around the outside of the Andretti hairpin. They're wheel by the exit. Bohr is looking to have locked it down. He's got the inside line now, and Rob Bohr jumps up into 9th.
That is the move of the day. That is absolutely extraordinary. Went to the wide line coming into the Andretti hairpin, drives it round the outside, and of course that then gave him the inside line going into turn 3. I have to say that is one of the best moves I've seen in quite a long time. I doff my cap to Rob Boer, the Dutchman. The move of the day for me, for sure.
The Andretti hairpin, too, is one of the only corners where around the outside move is actually a preferred overtaking method than the other corners because it has that right-hander immediately following it, and it's so wide with that double apex corner, and I think Pizzica has had some trouble. No, that's Ducomar. That's Fabio. Fabio's going slow. I think he had a little bit of a wiggle going out of the final corner.
Fabio Del Carmo comes round here then. Yep, I think this is going to be, just a little bit unsettled on the brakes. And just runs really wide.
Missed it. And he's hit the wall.
Yeah. Well, I think he's sponsored by Lavazza Coffee. He might need to go and have a coffee to wake himself up because that was just got a little bit squirrely on the brakes and run wide. What a pity for the Brazilian.
He's running that Formula 2 tribute paint as Samborski is leading out Bernstoff as they head down for one last time. White flag is in the air at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca for the iRacing Formula 3.5 Championship. Ilbrink, Samborski, Bernstoff, your top 3.
I have to say, I'm just getting into this, Austin. This is brilliant stuff here, this Renault 3.5 class here at Laguna WeatherTech Laguna Seca Raceway, to get another sponsor plug in there. But I tell you what have you got to say about Edward Samborski? Only needed one invitation to get through, and since he's got clear into second position, he has been lapping really impressively and not far at all off the pace of Ilbrink. That gap is sort of sat very steady between 8 and 9 seconds, but as you say, you mentioned a Michael Schumacher-esque, Paul Ilbrink in that red car. It has been a little bit reminiscent of the dominance of Michael Schumacher in his Ferrari days as he comes down the rainy curve for the last time, about to take the checkered flag. What can you say about this man, Austin?
Number 1 qualified, number 1 numbered-wise, number 1 in position-wise, number 1 fastest lap-wise, Mr. Number 1, Paul Ilbrink takes the win here at Laguna Seca. And coming across in second, the American flags are waving today as Samborski comes across in second place, followed by Bernstoff to complete the podium for the iRacing Formula 3.5 Championship. Here comes Steve Honan in fourth place. He was having a very quiet race, but a very solid race indeed. He's followed by Ronald Augusto in fifth, who tips his cap to his boys at the pit wall. Cedric Bill, hardest charger today, up 6 spots. Then Mr. Overtake himself, Simone Pizzica, after a very tough lap 1, he made a great recovery drive up to 7th as Kalashnikov finishes as, we got ourselves a little bit of smoke show from, is that Navarro? I think that was Navarro.
My feed has just dropped ever so slightly there, Austin. But yeah, fantastic performance. And I can't believe we didn't mention for Honan in fourth position, the Benson and Hedges livery on there, the old Jordan livery. That is very cool indeed. I've never smoked a cigarette in my life, but I have to say the old tobacco liveries are some of the best we've seen, like JPS, Rothmans, Benson and Hedges. There's been plenty of them. So here's our results, Austin. How did they finish?
Paul Ilbrink takes the win, followed by Edward Samborski, Emil Bernstoff in third place, followed by Steve Honan, Ronaldo Augusto, Cedric Bill, Simone Pizzica, Fabio Du Carmo, Rob Ward, Gennady Kalashnikov, Shane Russell, Jamie Burns, Samati Sabolks, Anthony Navarro, Patrick Letovet, James J. Pincer, and Josh Stewart, who are both in. All of the last 3 drivers were involved in that massive incident at the start of the race, and unfortunately for Pincer and Stewart, they was just race ending immediately for them, and it would have been so fabulous to see what those 2 drivers could have brought outside of there. But we do have our race winner waiting for us right now, so let's bring him in and give him a little bit of a shout. Howdy, Paul. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Yeah, satisfied with the race, so I'm happy.
Well, you better be satisfied. You won it in a most dominating fashion I've seen from you.
Yeah, Winning is always good. Even better if like the top guys show up as well. It's a shame that weren't here today, but I'll take it.
A win is a win, and you don't look a gift horse in its mouth. Any fun stories going into this week, or about this race? It was very non-eventful for you.
Yeah, that's like kind of the problem with these kind of races. Like, it's such a tricky track, and you have to do like a lot of laps. And especially since I got a nice gap already early on, it's so easy to like slumber into some kind of like autopilot driving, and then all of a sudden you find yourself facing the wrong way in a corkscrew or something. So I just tried my best to keep focused and not let my mind drift off elsewhere. So. Luckily, I managed to do that this race, so yeah, that was pretty much it. But
Well, you stayed focused for this week. Next week, we're heading over to Spa. 18 laps there, so less amount of lap times, probably about same amount of time spent in car, because Spa is just absolutely massive. So, any plans for Spa?
see how the DRS works again, I guess. Like, it's really not that useful at tracks like this, but at Spa it will be playing a key role, I guess, on the long straights.
All right. Well, thank you, Paul, for your time. Congrats on the win. Before we let you go, anyone you want to thank or shout out?
All the people driving this race, you guys for doing the broadcast, and my teammates at Radicals Online and our partners and sponsors, Armor Centrum, Cranfield Simulation, Track Racer, Joe Real Timing, Turn Racing, the MOATF podcast, Six Sideways, and Pixel Dust.
All right. Thank you, Paul. You have yourself a great night, and I believe Peter is standing by with Fabio.
Fabio De Carmo, welcome to the commentary box here live on Apex Racing TV. How was that race for you?
Hey Peter, thank you. It was tough. Actually, I was able to get fifth position right in the beginning of the race, and I was just following the pace I had. I wasn't able to get too close to the guys in front of me. They were faster. And then suddenly, with 2 laps remaining, in the last corner, I locked up brakes. I don't know why. I think I over braked or something. I don't think I lost the braking point. It's just a matter of how much pressure I applied in the pedal, and at that time, I still have to investigate what happened. And I had to go to the gravel trap. Had a bit of contact with the tire barriers. No damage whatsoever, but still lost 3 places in the last 2 laps, and that's very unfortunate. But anyway, glad to be in the top 10.
Absolutely, and I guess that is racing, isn't it? Now, we've heard quite a bit about the tyre wear in this class, with a lot of reports from Suzuka last time with really, really high tyre wear. The track temperature today wasn't too high. How did the tyres behave over the race? Were they past their best by the end?
Yeah, I guess it was a little bit better than Suzuka. I guess Suzuka is harder on tires than Laguna Seca. Towards the end, I was feeling the car was getting a bit loose in corner exits, but it was manageable. I mean, it wasn't that bad. So it's I think it's quite fair, the number of laps that we have against the temperature that we are racing against. So I think it's a fair combination.
Oh, thank you for the insight. It's always nice to get the driver's perspective. We'd like to think we're the experts up here in the commentary box, but we're not. We just ask the experts the question when they come in to speak to us. So thank you for that. Before we let you go, while you're live on Apex Racing TV, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, sure. I just would like to thank my great friend Eduardo Palmeira. He's always watching my races and cheering up for me. Thank you for that, guy. And I also just want to thank my wife and my kids for letting me race here as well. And I think that's it. Thank you so much for the broadcast, guys.
Thank you for coming in to join us, and we hope to see you next time here in the commentary box with another good finish. Thanks for coming to join us, Fabio, and have a good
Thank
night.
you.
So that was Fabio De Carmo, who had an eventful finish to the race, but a good drive nonetheless. Now, next of all, we're hoping that Edward Samborski, our second place finisher, our top American driver, is going to join us in the commentary box, and he has done. Eddie, how was that race for you, sir?
Oh my God, I'm exhausted. I mean, kept thinking the whole race. I was like, all right, I need that mistake. And I got it. And I was like, oh man, what am I doing now? Now I'm on the other end here. Like, don't make a mistake. It was 25 or 29 laps of that, but it was fun. It was a good challenge.
It looked like a busy race. I mean, here at Laguna, the layout is really, really challenging. Have you been able to get much practice in during the week on this track? Because it's one of these circuits that's just such a challenge.
I absolutely did, yes. I don't know. Well, I could look. If while we keep talking, I could pop in and see if I can get it in the telemetry real quick. But I bet you I'm over 10 hours easily. Between practicing qualifying and race and trying to guess what the track state is and all that other fun stuff. So between all that, 9.8 hours for the week is what I practiced, combined with everything, including today's race. So I don't know, whatever that is, 9 hours.
That's certainly a lot. Yeah, and there you go, viewers. That's the level of commitment it requires to finish on the podium in this highly contested class. Now, of course, first of all, I must say happy 4th of July. It's a big celebration today in the United States. Now that you've finished racing, what's the plan now? A couple of drinks?
Oh, yeah, I need to relax. I might go blow some stuff up. By that, I mean fireworks. Nothing. Yeah, that's right. America! Americaland! Oh, Austin!
USA!
Are we gonna get in trouble? Can I do this? This might be seen as offensive.
You go ahead. It's your day.
Right. Yeah, that's right. America, boys! We're gonna blow some shit up! That's what we do out here. I'll get my Budweiser, I'll get my Clydesdale. I'm gonna strap something to my back and go right around. So when I tell you I'm bird next week, you know it's from them shooting rockets coming off me. This is America. It's illegal to shoot cannonballs, or I'd be launching them bitches in the lake. That's for damn sure.
Language.
Oh, sorry.
I don't. No problem, Eddie. So thanks for coming up to speak to us in the commentary box, and go and enjoy the rest of your 4th of July weekend. Thanks very much, and well done on your second place finish.
Thank you, guys. Good fun.
All right, that was the one and only Edward Samborski, who's celebrating absolutely awesome. Someone who's also going to be celebrating is our biggest mover of the race. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Cedric Bill.
Hello, guys. Hello, everyone.
Cedric, how are you doing? You were moving up through the field today. How was that?
I'm just really happy. I messed up I failed my qualification as always. And I have a little chance at the beginning because there was some incident, and by luck I managed to pass some cars, and after I just had to keep the pace, and I tried to chase Ronaldo, but he was faster than me tonight, and I just had to keep the rhythm, and so I'm happy about it. Yes.
Well, you had a absolutely great rhythm today to finish up in 6th place. Next week, we're going to Spa. Any strategy for there?
Spa is a track that I like everyone, but I'm not really fast compared to others at this track, so I think I will just be focused on the race pace to be on good position at the end.
All right. Well, thank you for that insight, Cedric. Anyone you want to thank?
I want to thank my teammates, Patrick, Younes, Samuel, MXS Racing. And I want to thank the stream, Apex Racing TV, and all the guys who do F3.5, really great community, and it's always a pleasure to race with those guys.
All right, thank you, Cedric. You have yourself a good night, and I want to bring the mic over to Peter for for any closing thoughts today.
Well, closing thoughts, it's certainly an entertaining race, and as we heard, an even more entertaining post-race interviews as well, so apologies for any little pieces of language in there, but our driver's excited about Edward, very excited about his second place finish, and even more excited about 4th of July celebrations. So, no, it's been a pleasure to join you in the commentary box today, Austin, and see some brilliant single-seater racing around WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, and I believe we're going to be back on Monday night for some Ricmotech GT racing, which I'm very excited about.
Yes, we are, but currently it must be an end for this broadcast. Thank you, everybody who's joined us in chat for the iRacing Formula 3.5 Championships. Shout out to Frederick, who's back in the booth, and thank you, Peter, for joining me in the commentary box as well. I'm Austin Knight, and I hope y'all have a good night.